Elara's visions had been growing stronger, more vivid, more seductive. Each night, the man in her dreams stepped closer, his presence more tangible, his voice more familiar. She thought she could handle it. But what unsettled her most wasn't how real he felt now. It was how familiar he had always been. Because Elara had seen him before. Not recently, but long ago, when she was just a child with skinned knees and ink-stained fingers. Back then, she'd sometimes catch fleeting glimpses of a boy in her mind's eye. A beautiful boy, delicate yet fierce, with dark hair that curled softly over his ears, and eyes that shimmered like water pulled from the stars. But there was something else about him, something different. His features weren't like the boys in her school, or the ones from Madrid's sun-soaked streets. His skin was pale and golden toned, his eyes shaped like half moons, deep and unreadable. Even as a child, she noticed how his beauty was unfamiliar, foreign in a way that made her heart race. His face was gentle, yet sharp, soft, yet untouchable. She didn't know he was Japanese. She just knew he wasn't from here, wherever here was. And that mystery made him feel even more sacred. He never spoke. He only looked at her with knowing, as if he already understood everything. Her fears, her fire, her future. As if, across lifetimes and continents, he had already loved her once, and would again. She thought he was imaginary. A coping mechanism, maybe. The way lonely children conjure invisible friends to whisper secrets and make them feel less alone. But now, it was him, the same boy, only older, grown into a man with the same storm-glass eyes and haunting kind of beauty, the kind that unsettled her in places deeper than bone. She didn't know his name, but every night he returned. And every morning, she woke with her heart aching for someone she had never touched. She thought these nightly encounters were simply some strange, psychic echo of the world's unraveling, but she had no idea just how real he was. And she certainly wasn't prepared for the moment when that spectral intimacy would be violently shattered by the reveal of his actual heart-stopping beauty. The sky outside Elara's loft was the color of rusted copper. Too red, too quiet. For days now, the air had smelled faintly of static and iron. The birds vanished. Children no longer played outside. The world was waiting, watching, unraveling. For the most part, people carried on as if nothing had changed, clinging to their routines with a surreal kind of numbness. It was the kind of denial only a world addicted to artificial light and filtered realities could manage. They brewed coffee while tremors shook the ground, filmed morning skincare routines as sirens screamed down shattered streets, posted dance videos under skies streaked with ash, disconnected from the earth, disassociated from truth. But underneath it all, a quiet, collective knowing pulsed like static. The end was no longer a distant theory or a dramatic headline. The apocalypse wasn't coming. It had already begun. Elara felt it deep, the constant tension in her jaw, the tightness in her chest that didn't go away with sleep. Even jokes from the locals. Guess we don't need to pay taxes if the earth's about to implode, carried the desperate humor of those trying not to scream. Some days she cried for no reason. The world was dying, maybe being reborn. Either way, it wasn't safe. And something deep inside her, older than this life, knew that the answer to it all was hiding in her dreams. Elara hadn't slept properly in days. She barely ate. Her skin buzzed beneath her oversized sweater, her fingers twitching even when she wasn't holding a brush. And when she did sleep in brief, fractured bursts, it was always him, the man from the dream. Tonight, he had spoken, and it was in clear Spanish, her native tongue. She had been in a field again, one filled with ash and petals. The sky was cracked and bleeding gold. He had stood there, barefoot, eyes glowing like embers in moonlight, and reached for her.
Eres el espejo. You're the mirror.
She woke up with her sheets twisted around her legs and her thighs slick with sweat. She stumbled into her studio before sunrise, flipping on the lamps with trembling hands. She didn't even tie her hair up this time, didn't turn on music, just grabbed a fresh canvas, a palette, and began painting with a fury that bordered on madness. Charcoal first, then strokes of blue, then gold. She didn't think, she moved. The brush flew, her breath hitched. Paint streaked across her arms, her collarbone. Her cropped tank top slipped off one shoulder as she bent over the canvas, dragging a deep line from his jaw to the hollow of his throat. The eyes came last. When she finally stopped, her knees were sore from crouching. Her neck ached. Her heart beat so hard it made her chest vibrate. She stared at the sketch. There he was, the man from her dream. Angular jaw, full lips, slightly parted. Eyelashes that shadowed cheekbones too delicate to belong to a man, but somehow more masculine because of it. He had piercings along his left ear, small hoops, elegant but defiant. His expression was soft, sorrowful, longing. Her entire body hummed. She pulled out her phone and snapped a photo of the canvas, heart still pounding from the dream. Her fingers hovered over the caption field as she uploaded it to her art account. This time, she didn't write in Spanish. Something urged her to reach wider. English had always been her bridge, practically fluent now after years of school, and her own self-taught determination. She'd wanted more opportunities in life, and language had felt like a doorway. English was global. A net. A voice big enough to carry the impossible. Later, she'd wonder if it was instinct or fate, a quiet divine nudge, because writing it in English was what made it find him. Her thumbs typed carefully.
I don't know who he is. I see him every night. If the world ends tomorrow, I hope he finds me first.
Hashtag dream man, hashtag mystery muse, hashtag who is he, hashtag apocalyptic romance. She hit post, then curled up on her worn couch, heart thudding, paint on her neck. She fell asleep. The sun was already high when Elara woke. Her phone buzzed angrily beside her, notifications stacked like bricks. She blinked. 12,893 likes. 2,901 comments. Her chest tightened. She opened the post.
This looks like Kai Mizunari. No way you didn't know.
Isn't this that actor from Tokyo? This is literally him.
How did she do this? That's his exact face. I'm freaking out.
Lol, nice way to thirst trap the apocalypse.
This is sacred. I'm crying.
She frowned, confusion knitting her brow. Who the hell was Kai Mizunari? She hadn't heard of him before. Between painting all night and avoiding the noise of the outside world, she didn't keep up with celebrities. Her phone was ancient, her internet spotty, and she mostly used it to post art and look up pigment recipes, not movie stars. Still, something about the name tugged at her, like a door creaking open inside her chest. Her fingers trembled as she hesitated, then carefully typed the name into her browser. The page began to load, and then the very first image appeared. The breath fled her lungs. Her fingers went numb. The phone slid from her hand in slow motion, glowing like some fallen oracle, casting cold light across the darkened room. Everything inside her went still, then trembled. With shaking hands, she forced her gaze downward and looked into the eyes of the man who had haunted her dreams. She cautiously plucked the phone from the floor. There he was in dozens of magazine covers, movie stills. His Instagram was private, but the fan pages weren't. She clicked one, then another, scrolled, stared, same face, same piercings, the shine of silver glinting against dark hair. She craved for more, eagerly scrolling only to find a series of photos that made her heart twist and her thighs clench. Kai in all black, sunglasses low on his nose, lips slightly parted, the metal on his ears glinting like starlight. The darkness of his style only made his light more unbearable. He was unspeakably beautiful, youthful in that dangerous, untamed way. The kind of man who didn't just walk into a room, he shifted it. Like a storm dressed in velvet. She zoomed in on a candid shot. Him devilishly laughing, head tilted, the glint of a hoop catching sunlight. His teeth sharp and flawless, the kind that looked like they could bite without apology. The sexual energy in his photos was palpable, dangerous. Millions of women thirsted after him, and she could see why. But she felt like none of them really knew him. Not like she did in her dreams. Holding her phone like a spell, she backed into the wall, hands trembling, eyes wide. He had already lived inside her dreams, her art, her longing. Now she had seen him in flesh, and her body responded like it had waited lifetimes. Her knees buckled. She slid down the wall, clutching the phone to her chest. The trembling turned into shaking. Her vision blurred with tears. She kept scrolling until she found one photo. Just one. That undid her. It wasn't posed. It wasn't filtered. A candid, raw shot of Kai standing shirtless in a dim hallway. Low light slicing across his torso, carving definition into every line of his chest and abs. His collarbones gleamed faintly with sweat. Muscles taut, veins visible. Entirely masculine. One hand braced against the wall behind him, like he'd just stopped mid-prowl. His long dark hair cascaded past his jaw, sleek and sexy, framing his intense gaze. His stare was relentless. No smile, no mask, just hunger, depth. A look that said he could ruin you without ever raising his voice. A look that said he would. Not for attention, not for pride, but because something ancient inside him demanded it. He wasn't just beautiful. He was danger incarnate, and she could see it now. He was looking straight at her through time, through space, like he already owned her soul. Her breath hitched so violently she nearly choked. Heat flushed through her cheeks, down her spine, pooling low in her belly. Her vision swam. She turned her head suddenly, violently, as if the image might burn her from the inside. She pressed the phone to her chest like a prayer, gasping like she'd just come up from drowning. She had never been drawn to a Japanese man before. Not in life, not in longing, not out of bias, but because their worlds had felt too far apart, like different frequencies humming in silence. Her few, forgettable romances had always stayed close to home. Same streets, same language, same familiar ache. And yet here she was, unraveled by a stranger from a world so distant it felt mythic, like loving someone written into her story by a hand she didn't remember. But oddly, this didn't feel foreign. It felt like home, like she had been waiting for him for lifetimes without knowing his name. She had no idea how, but she had found him. Or maybe he had been calling her all along. A little past 7 p.m. in Tokyo, Kai sat slouched on the edge of his leather couch, elbows on his knees, shirt wrinkled from hours of indecision. The evening sky bled rust red through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse, casting a bruised light across the room. He'd been preparing to call his agent back. Not because he wanted to, but the pressure had been mounting. Headlines speculating on his disappearance, brand deals on hold, fans demanding answers. Even at the end of the world, society's gluttony for entertainment and distraction raged on. It felt ridiculous. But part of him, just a small, exhausted part, thought maybe the chaos of returning to public life would drown out the emptiness he couldn't name. The phantom ache. The faceless woman. He exhaled slowly and turned off Do Not Disturb for the first time all day. His phone lit up, and then it buzzed, hard. Hundreds of notifications flooded the screen. Mentions, tags, messages from people he hadn't spoken to in years, all pointing to the same post. He blinked. He almost didn't click it, but when he did, everything stopped. A charcoal painting. Of him, but softer, sadder, as if drawn by someone who knew him, truly and intimately, beyond the manicured image and curated interviews. He stared at it, unblinking. And then he tapped on her profile. At Elara Montes. Only a few photos, all artistic, distant. But then he found one that stopped everything. His blood ran cold. She wasn't posing. It was a candid, natural light pouring across her bronze skin like a memory he hadn't lived yet. Her petite frame was draped in an oversized shirt, smeared with streaks of paint. Fingers mid-motion like she'd just stepped back from the canvas. A silver nose ring caught the light. Her dark hair was tied up messily to one side, a strand curling down over her cheek. She wasn't trying to be beautiful, but she was. So quietly, devastatingly beautiful that it hollowed him out. His pulse pounded in his ears, because this wasn't just a woman. This was her, the girl from his dreams, the phantom he'd drawn as a boy, the shadowed echo in his mirror when he was alone. And those eyes, almond, steady, impossibly ancient. They didn't just look at the camera. They looked through it, through him. It was like staring into the beginning of everything and suddenly remembering he'd come from her. His chest constricted. His hand trembled over the screen.
Elara.
He whispered, as if saying her name could anchor the shattering. Heat rushed through his body, sharp, fast, pooling in places he wasn't ready to admit. It scared him, the hunger of it, the need that sparked under his skin. It was primal, impossible, holy. He clenched the phone tighter. Those eyes. He felt like he'd already married her, loved her, lost her, 1,000 times before. He read her location, Madrid, Spain. A memory surfaced, a trip he took there 2 years ago, a last-minute vacation his manager insisted on. He had felt a strange peace there, an inexplicable sense of home. He remembered walking through the Plaza Mayor at dusk, heart swelling for no reason, breath catching at the scent of jasmine in the air. He hadn't understood it then. Maybe he did now. She was there. Maybe she always had been. He whispered her name like a spell.
Elara. Elara.
Something inside him twisted. It was longing. No, it was recognition. He set the phone down gently. The pulse in his ears was deafening. Then, like a match to dry grass, heat bloomed low in his belly. His skin prickled. His chest rose sharply. He closed his eyes and let the feeling move through him. She was real. And she had found him.